There is a vision of people power, of how people overcome tyrants, of how people reject injustice, of how people get together and change the world in open defiance of oppressors. That vision is of people massing in the streets, defiantly showing courage right in front of the government headquarters, chanting their demands while armed stooges stand by. When the standoff ends, the stooges have put down their weapons, the tyrant flees, and people celebrate. But that isn't how it happens. In a successful movement, when people mass in the streets, the revolt has already succeeded, and only a shadow of the now impotent old tyranny remains. People power has already done its magic. The crowd is merely kicking the carcass of an abusive regime to the curb. We have work to do, or more precisely, we have work not to do. Our power is our labor, our obedience, our cooperation, and strangely, our active support of our abusers. The work of people power is to learn to cooperate with each other instead of with tyrants. When we do this, we are literally unbeatable. Yes, I know that's a bold claim, but it is truth. Every tyrant that has ever lived, that lives today, that will ever live, owes his power to the people he victimizes. This is true of dictators, of corporate tyrants, of plutocrats, of every type of abuser in every situation. In each case, the people who have been taking his orders and operating his tyrannical regime can end that regime and end the abuses by not cooperating. When the tyrant's work doesn't get done, when the secret police stay home or refuse to fire their weapons at their loved ones, when oil workers stop pumping and refining, when universities and offices and factories and farms suffer labor shortages, then the old order dies, as it should, as it deserves to, as it must. The best way to speed things up, to begin moving quickly from growing fascism to growing freedom, from growing abuse to growing joy, to move from fear to courage and passivity to boldness, is to go on strike. People are organizing to do just that. There is a group called General Strike US. And yes, I can hear you already. That will never work. We need people to unite, and we won't get everybody. Millions are enthralled with the American fascists and will continue to support them forever. This is called giving up in advance. This is something that morally weak media does, that shallow, selfish politicians do, that nearly every institution that gets government funding does. This is something that we are tempted to do as well. And fascists and tyrants depend on that. Their very lives depend on us giving up in advance. Well, I won't do that. And hundreds of thousands have already signed up, pledging to not give up. I've personally signed up. I'm asking members of our movement, the Saners, to sign up. This effort can grow from hundreds of thousands to millions, and, even as a small percentage of the population, can signal a shift, can put a spotlight on the weakness of evil and, just as important, our strength. This is how successful movements happen. Millions of us can get together and do this. We don't need to agree on everything. We need to agree only on one thing. We will not submit to tyrants. The United States as a country has a poor record of behavior, including the original sin of slavery. But it had some very good ideas as well, ideas that stood the test of time. And a core principle is that we will not serve a king. We can agree on that, and we can end the rule of the current mad king, and just as important, establish people power that will prevent any future king from emerging. How can we do this? And what effect will it have? Begin now, right this minute, by signing up for the General Strike. The URL is at generalstrikeus.com. This web address will be repeated at the end of this video, and if you care, and I know you do, you will sign up. Please note, this is not my movement, and I do not speak for the organizers. But what they are doing is important, and I want our group, the Saners, and every caring person in the country to join, starting with you. General Strike US doesn't have the number of participants needed yet. They won't set a strike date until more than 11 million people have signed up. And this strike won't immediately end the current tyranny, but it will set the wheels in motion. This act is the kind of event that has propelled countless movements throughout history to victory. Properly executed by people who care, it is unlikely to fail this time. This event will signal that we aren't waiting for some mythical, non-existent hero, a congressperson or billionaire or some other such pretender, to save us. We are the people who have the power, and we will save ourselves and each other and the biosphere of our planet, our Earth. We will do this because only we can do this. And the 98% of our compatriots, our friends and neighbors and even strangers, will see for themselves that the change is here if we want it. And those who want it, millions and millions of them, will join. The growth of the movement, once it is visible and viable, will be exponential. Fewer people will show up at work, at government and corporate offices. Factories will close, as will agribusinesses. The movement we have joined will force governments and corporations to negotiate, and human rights will be restored and protected. Now here's where the Saners want to go further, but this must not stop us from participating in the strike. We don't want a negotiated settlement. We don't want to leave even a hint of tyranny. We want tyranny to become impossible. The Saners envision replacing the old order, not merely reforming it. We see an end to work and consumerism as we know it today. People won't produce corporate jets and yachts. People won't produce shiny baubles for the struggling masses to distract themselves. Instead of wasting our lives producing unneeded crap, and in the process spewing gigatons of CO2 and other toxins into the biosphere, we will work much, much less, and never for the profit of any elite. We will produce only healthy food, medicine, and a few other things that are necessary or truly valuable. Enough for us to live, but not so much that we are wasting our short, precious lives slaving away. In the Saners world, we will produce and work 80 to 90% less than we do today. This will leave people time to live. We can spend time with friends, loved ones. We can walk in nature to relax and contemplate. We can express ourselves creatively. We can live as free human beings and not be reduced to mere human resources, valued only insofar as we produce wealth for others. And we will stop destroying our planet. But for now, focus on the strike. This is the start. This is how we begin. This is what we must do now. Sign up for the strike at generalstrikeus.com. And please sign up for the Saners at wearesaners.org.